Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Live Loving live stream. My intro is missing in my files because of the snafu last week, so I just jumped on camera. Welcome to the Live Loving live stream here in the fabulous John of News Studios. Thought I'd throw some choreography in for you guys this evening. I'm having a fabulous time here in the studio. I've been playing around with new tech, trying to repair last week's tech, and just kind of having fun with it after a week of feeling like I've done good things in the world. I wanted to talk at the outset tonight about the times when things don't feel so good. And oh yes, Art, I saw your name there. Tikanis, my friend, Tikanis. Um, I wanted to. I had a lot of private sessions this week, and I had one that kind of ended my day yesterday, and it was one of the ones where I have a hard time sometimes because I don't believe that if I'm giving someone a reading and I do when I do those writings, I never know what I'm writing, and then oftentimes when I read them to the person, I get struck with what's being said myself. And yesterday, I got struck with the fact that this last person of the day was really desperately holding on to a very, very bad relationship with her husband, who was treating her like a servant and cheating on her and all kinds of terrible things. And I apologized to her during the session to let her know I'm so sorry that I'm going to say the things I'm going to say, but I can't have you come here and have me just tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I get. And sometimes those moments are hard because sometimes people are really desperately wanting something that they're not taking into consideration that the other person just isn't there. And it gets to be, I felt like I kept apologizing to her because I was like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. And at one point, I finally asked her the question that made her realize it. I said, how long do you want to work on this? And she broke down crying and she said, I don't want to work on it. I said, then there's your answer right there. There's your answer right there. And I really need you guys to know that it's important to be frank when you need to be frank. And I don't mean that in the old MASH TV series kind of way. I remember when Charles Emerson Winchester first came on MASH, he turned to Hot Lips. He says, can I be frank with you? She says, excuse me? Anyway, really funny joke. But sometimes you just have to be honest. Some people will hold on to something to their own detriment for a lifetime unless somebody says something, unless somebody actually has that moment. And I told her all the way through it, it's her choice. She can do whatever she wants because she is the creator of her experience. And can she save it? There's always a possibility of saving it. But it really depends on whether he's involved in saving it as well, because it's a relationship and both people have free will. And so I just wanted to kind of start. I'm starting this off on a low note and a bummer, but I just think it's important to have integrity about what you're doing in life. And sometimes, to me, the private sessions and the integrity of being faithful to the person I'm talking to is extremely important to me. It's very powerful for me. And even in those moments where I don't enjoy having that kind of conversation, I feel it's kind of my responsibility to do it. And when you know something's rough on someone, sometimes it is important to say to them, yeah, maybe you ought to think about something new. I had another one yesterday whose husband was obviously already preparing her for him to die, and he had stage 4 cancer. And I was like, it really depends on his belief what's going to happen. And she said, well, he did all the things he wanted to do, make sure that we were set up for life before he left. He says, Now he's telling me he's fading. I said, well, I mean, if you can change his belief, or he can change his belief, then he can come back from it. But if that's his belief, then, are you okay if he goes? And I think it's a hard thing to talk about, but those are sometimes the most pivotal moments in life, is when you can talk about the hard things as well. So I don't want to dwell on negative stuff all night tonight. So let's find some positive things to talk about as well. What would you guys like to talk about? I'm going to jump up here to the chat board and see if I can find anything. At around age 10, I floored my parents by declaring that God wouldn't create a world where animals had to kill each other to survive. Any thoughts on that, or on the creation of the physical world? Well, it's interesting because I just did a part 4 of the interpretation of the Gospel of Thomas, the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, and they talk about the man was carrying the lamb so he could kill it to eat it. I think that question itself, Charmaine, is looking at an external God, and I think that God is, and you are one, and God and everyone else is one, and we also know that people have been eating animals for millions of years. Science says that's why our brains developed like they did, because of the animal fats we consumed. So I don't necessarily know if I agree. Now, if you look at the Bible itself, if you go by the biblical terms, he actually says in the Bible that the animals and the plants and everything on the earth was made for man to eat. So I'm not sure what your take is on it, but I don't believe that there is such a thing known as death, because I believe life is eternal, and I think this is an illusion. So I don't have the visceral reaction to it that you do, I guess. And Armadillo, I see your answer down there as well. Personally, when I was a vegetarian, I was never sicker, and I was hospitalized twice during the time I was a vegetarian. When I started eating meat again, my health, my blood pressure went down. I became extremely more healthy eating meat than anything else. And I did everything. And I still do a fast every year. I do a 40-day fast every winter. Well, technically early spring, March, April timeframe. But I still today, if I eat vegetables, they mess me up. And I try. I sometimes will buy a salad and it goes to rot in my fridge, because every time I eat it, I just don't feel good doing it. I think physical creation is, to answer your question, Charmaine, I think physical creation is a construct of the mind. Because if you really think about what Einstein said, everything you're looking at is just pure atoms, and atoms are nothing but an energy event. And that means that the wall and the air between you and the wall and your eyes are nothing but atoms. All you are is your consciousness. And Sarah, I agree with you. I think one's diet is a personal decision. I think we're probably omnivorous and we can probably eat anything. But I always go back to what Jeshua said in the Gnostic text. He said, I would be more worried about what comes out of your mouth than what goes in. Because what comes out of your mouth is your belief. And your belief is what is creative. And I think that every person's walk in life or journey is their own. Spirituality is a personal journey. Thank you, Mom. And I think it's important. And I think there's some people who are highly vegetarian or vegans who get just as zealous as some of the religious folks do. And I've had them come at me hard for my take on me eating meat. And it's really interesting enough, my take on the belief that Jeshua ate meat. I don't know why they'd have an issue with that, since it says it everywhere in all the Bibles and the Gnostic texts. So, but I think I agree. If they want to be vegetarian, God, that's their choice. I don't have any issue with that at all. What I have is when they try to inflict that on others, because I think that's the whole concept of talking about how meat. They have to have vegan burgers now, so they have a substitute for meat. Well, why would you need a substitute? Because meat is really, for me, the thing that I need. It does make me healthier, feel healthier anyway. But other people, my next door neighbors, they live on an all plant-based diet and they thrive. That just doesn't work for me. Maybe some of us are just not built that way. What other questions do we have, folks? I'm fixing a little sensor in my car, but love listening with love. Okay. Well, I hope that OD sensor goes well, David. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes by the end of this, too. Let me know. You know, what I was saying before about sometimes saying the hard decisions, sometimes you have to do that for yourself, too. You have to really understand where you are and what you're experiencing. I'm kind of introspective about that tonight, if you can probably tell. It kind of, that last call yesterday, that last private session, really, I've really felt for her, because she seemed like such a lovely person, but it was just a hard conversation. Oh, 2 cents. Funny. Oh no, Matthew, it's all right. It was just I am I am joyful in my life, and I am, even though some of those moments are hard, I am happy that I'm there for her. I'm happy that I was someone who could talk with her and be there for her, and someone that she could cry with when she realized that she didn't want to. Marcy, when you were a child, did I have any experience with manifesting as a child? I personally don't remember any, but I will tell you what, my son is one of the greatest in the world. It was like every time he wanted something, it just kind of showed up in his experience. And I really don't have any specific stories, but he knew that if he just believed it, it was going to happen. And he believed things into existence right and left. And every so often I look downstairs and he's got this computer cockpit, like screens and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow. It's like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to, and he just starts focusing on it and things start to happen. Next thing you know, he's got everything it needs to be. So yeah, he was very good. He was very good at manifesting, and still is probably. I don't see him very often because he's down in that cockpit playing all those games. Myself as a child, I was actually, Marcy, it's a good question, because I was very disempowered as a child. With my father not being really very kind to me, and being raised in a devoutly Catholic church, and for many years I was the youngest of 6 kids. Number 7 came 14 years later. So I was never in a place of really knowing I had the power, but I was still having out-of-body experiences and crucifying my G.I. Joe in the backyard and all those kind of things. But I have no memory of being just empowered in that way. But my son, we did our best to make him empowered from a young age. And he had his struggles too, because he had a bully that used to pick on him. And he figured his way through that very, very well. Yeah. Poor little my backside. My mom was not happy with my brand new G.I. Joe getting, red marker blood on him. It was not a good experience for Johnny's backside. Johnny, she would yell at me. Yeah, it was a very interesting childhood. And I don't even know how to compare it to others because none of us really know how to compare our childhoods because they're all so unique. It's interesting the numerology of the Chaldean. I think all of well, how do I say this? I think all of it is made of the mind of man, including the numbers themselves, and just like tarot, just like crystals, just like numerology, just like astrology, if you believe you get information, that will be the method by which channeling happens for you. I I personally think it's far simpler, and it's like I myself my other channel is called Level Up Spirit 444, right? Because 444 was a big experience for me early on, but for me, even like 444, 1111, 77, 888, all those number things, for me, are just kind of a fun thing. And when they come at a very specific moment, like absolutely, for instance, this interview, this last session yesterday, I finished, and we went long because she needed me to, and I turned at the clock, and it was 4:44. And I was like, okay, so that was good work. So that gave me a feeling like I'd done good, like I'd done well. And so I don't really go into numerology a lot. I've had incredible numerology readings from various different forms of numerology, and I've met some people who are like, okay, and the book says that this, and the book says this, and they just go from a book. I've met one numerologist who the numbers pop up, and you can tell the numbers are there, but she's channeling stuff. She's bringing real information through. And yeah, she was pretty good. But I've also met tarot card readers who read tarot cards without ever looking down, and I know that that's kind of their little crutch to hold on to. I hope that answers your question, Nova Star. You're going to find with me that I always lean towards the simple, and in my regression, it literally said it's so simple we have a hard time comprehending our connection. I think that it's when I hear numerology, crystals, all the different things, I tend to think it's simpler, and so I tend to lean that way. Hey, John, you love to laugh. You are correct. I love to laugh. Why do you think God has woven laughter and humor into the human experience? It's amazing, isn't it? You know what, Larry? I'll tell you exactly why. What is a laugh? A laugh is a joyful exhale. And when we hold fear in our bodies, we hold air in our bodies. And when we joyfully exhale, we touch God. So every laugh you ever felt in your life is the direct experience of your connection to God. And it's right there at the bottom of the laugh. You hear me say, God is found at the bottom of every exhale, every breath, right? At the bottom of every breath. Well, a laugh is getting there joyfully. And that to me is you'll see me laugh at most things in my life. And this guy laughed a lot. He was always very funny guy. And he made you laugh. He made you laugh at yourself. He made you laugh at the experience. He made you just laugh. And that is touching God. That is truly touching God, in my opinion. I hope that answers your question, Larry. And Nova Star, you are quite welcome. What did you say or do after you got off your knees and seeing Jeshua after crucifixion months later? What did Jeshua do or say? Did you mention this to other disciples? Well, Peter was there, so that it was Peter and I. That was the last experience I had, and the last memory. It's interesting. I often say my regressive memories are not complete. People want them to be. They ask me all kinds of. I have to. I don't have that memory. I'm sorry, because I'm not going to tell you something I don't have. With that memory, the last memory I have is looking up at him and him laughing at me. And that literally is the end of my memories of Jeshua in that lifetime. I have no idea what was said after that or anything, but that that's the memory that comes up. I'm grateful that someday I will have that memory in full, because things are still trickling in, and I believe that eventually a lot of it will round out to even greater memories, because they are still trickling in, and when that happens, I'll be the most excited. Um, and I also personally, as to go back to Larry's question, I personally love that my last memory of him is him laughing. I think that's one of the most beautiful, wonderful experiences that anyone can have with someone else. Uh, when two people are truly laughing together, there's no fear in that minute. That's one of the reasons my friend Tim and I are such and for you, Art, my friend, my best friend's name is Efthymios Lazaros Guvas, which is why I knew Tikanis, my friend. I also can cuss you out quite a bit in Greek. um, um, but my friend Tim and I, we get together, we just laugh. We get on the phone. Next thing you know, 3 hours has gone by. We've been laughing for 3 hours. It's just laughter is just the mark of love. It's the mark of love. Let us know when your trickling happens again. That sounds dirty. Is that a euphemism, Joe? My trickling. Sounds like I'm incontinent or something. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Joe, for the laughter. Oh my gosh, I'm going to take a quick drink. It's maybe maybe it is. Good tag there, Joe. Great one. Um, Animal memes make me laugh. Yeah, if you guys, and I know I've probably said this in other lives or definitely other videos. Look up. There's 2 videos to look up on YouTube for me personally that just kill me. Just look up the words Honky Pete, HONKYPETE. It's a moment in an interview with Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, and that video makes me laugh out loud. And the other one is one called Bodhisattva on Metro. Not a single word is spoken, but a lot of laughter happens. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, it's an older video too. It's been on YouTube for well more than a decade. But it's a beautiful spiritual laughter message. And I just love it. Trickling is better than drooling, unless you're doing them both. unless unless trickling makes you drool. Oh my God! Can't believe I just said that on this live stream. Life has not been kind to me up until now. However, I do believe that I'm receiving good things in spite of that, though. I find myself not wanting to live for myself and just want to return to source. In other words, I just want to pass on. But I know if I were to die right now, I would cause immense pain to my family. Given the fact it seems that I have to live my life, how can I find the drive to create my dreams and truly love my life? Well, Matthew, let's talk about this. This is a topic I do hear about a lot. People say, I don't want to be here anymore. People have had a rough life experience, and the people who say they don't want to be here anymore, it's not because they're present, it's because they're focused on the things that have happened to them in their life. They're focused on their past. The first thing I'm going to say to you, Matthew, is you need to get very, very present and stop saying, this is how things are. This is how things are. This is how things are. You need to say, this is how things have been, but now I am doing something else. Remember, God's name, according to Moses, is I am, and whatever you ask in God's name is granted. So if you say, I am having the same experience, or I am wanting to leave, you're creating an experience that's not going to be unpleasant. So joyfully live your life, find things to make you laugh, but stay very present. Release the past. If you're the author of your life, you're the person who gets to put the period at the end of the last chapter. And you're also the one who gets to choose if you're writing a comedy or a tragedy. So take this moment and say, okay, that was that part of my life. What am I doing in this part of my life? And in this part of my life, I am living a joyful, happy life and expressing myself into the world in such positive ways that it can affect people positively and change the world for better. Because that is really the key to this, is for you stepping into your present moment divinity, because you are the creator of your experience. I just put out a video today on the Level Up Spirit channel. It's the fourth part of the Gospel of Thomas. And it directly discusses exactly this, is how it's time to step into your divinity and not live into the experiences of life or the expectations of others. It's about you stepping into you being the power, you being the one. And once you decide to step into your own power, you'll never be alone, because you'll be closer to the oneness of God. And being closer to the oneness of God, you will end up with the experience of being never alone, because every person you meet, every person that you touch, everything in the world that you experience is part of you. And when you have that piece of you that you can reach out and touch and you can grab and you can hold on to, that thing that you're touching, the person you're smiling at, that lady you're helping onto the curb, that person you're opening the door for, those people are you. And you get to say to them, I am with you and you're with me, and we're all in this thing together because we are one. And then what happens is you start to see the world from the perspective of just love and being love and expressing love to all the people around you. And I'm so sorry I'm talking fast. When the words start to flow, I got to go with the words and speak them as fast as I can, or I will lose them. So that's how that goes. So I hope that answers your question. And goosebumps. I'll see if I can zoom in there. Goosebumps, pop it all up. When it flows like that, I just got to go. So forgive me if I spoke too fast. Yeah, crying is a natural response to armadillo. Crying is the natural response to releasing fear as well. Release as well. I cry in joy. I watch It's a Wonderful Life and I cry. I watch White Christmas and I cry. Right. I watch beautiful moments on West Wing and I cry. The Little Drummer Boy episode makes me cry when they do the funeral scene. Even the joyful, loving, caring moments make you cry, because it's like, it's a release of just the pain and suffering. And it really comes down to you finding the way to release and letting things go. How do I help someone wake up to this fact? They have to make their own choice, Jesse, but the best way to do it is for you to do it yourself first. You shine so bright that they say, how come you're so happy? Why are you so joyful? Why are you having the life that you're having? Shine so bright that they ask questions and they want to know why. And then they can choose to change their life by your example. And Joe, I will take a drink. Thank you very much. I don't drink alcohol anymore, but I definitely need to throw something down my throat. All right, way to go with the car, David. Well done. I am you, you are me, we are one eternally. I agree with that. Good job beating. There are different tiers for different emotions. Yes, there are. Hi, Brent. How are you? Have a good cry. Feel free. Thank you, sir. It's already started happening to me. Wow. Good. Good. Going on a test drive at Lightning. Love y'all. All right, David. Safe drive. Be safe on the road. People who want to leave. There's also the people who say, "I don't want to come. This has to be my last life. I don't want to come again." You know, you're responding to your life experience, not knowing what's on the other side. You know, you may get on the other side. It may be like the belief that you have to come back or not have to come back is the response to the experiences you've had in this lifetime. And so it's a matter of just realizing you're the one who's away. You know, you're the one who's away. You're the one who's down here in the physical. The ones who have crossed over haven't left. They're still here. Just the illusion of them is not here. When you were an altar boy, did you ever have experiences in church? I did not, honestly, Marcy. The only experience I told the story of losing my breakfast on the altar in a different video, but I didn't have any big spiritual experiences in church, but I was not in a place to have those kind of experiences, because in church I had my mom looking down from the choir loft, and my brother who was the reader, and the priest who was looking over his glasses at me disapprovingly, and I was doing my best to fit into the Catholic mold at the church, which is why the whole Cheerios story is kind of funny, because I was really feeling the doom and gloom of not fitting in when those things happened. And so now when I asked my mom why she became so Catholic, her response literally was that she had her first out-of-body experience during a mass. So to her it was a big religious experience. So she dove into her Catholicism hardcore, and that was her start. But then she was also very open to my stories towards the end of her life. So it just took me coming back and having those conversations. And, you know, she went to her priest, and her priest was like, it might be true. Who knows? You know? So what do you think of how pyramids and magnesium make plants grow faster and foods last longer in or over pyramids? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just belief. I think if you believe that those things will help. Now, I'm looking out the window, and there's these beautiful leaves right outside my window right here. These leaves right here. And these leaves are miraculous. I've talked about this before. You know, all summer long they catch sunlight and water, and they do all that, and then by fall, when the sun gets low in the sky, they shrivel up and they fall, and they create a magnificent plant food for the tree at the precise time when the plant wants that specific type of food to grow roots. And so it really comes down to nature having a perfect cycle. But science will say that specific food is is it potassium? I forget what nutrient they said. It's nutrient rich. There's a specific nutrient, and they look at it. They look at it from the perspective of trying to figure out what these things are. So they figured out the various nutrients. They figured out all the things that are happening. But if you remember this, science itself is a dogma, because, as I said earlier, everything you're looking at is pure atomic energy, and they're every spiritual thought. Well, a lot of spiritual thought talks about the idea that your thoughts are the creative element, and noetic science is on the verge of proving that. And other scientists will say that's a pseudoscience and everything else, but I think Edgar Mitchell was probably a pretty good scientist, being an Apollo astronaut. and he's the one who started noetic science. Um, and so they're open-minded enough to look into transcendental experiences. And what happens now is they're finding their specific. They're looking for their specific. Nitrogen was the thing that I was trying to figure out. Nitrogen. Those leaves become nitrogen, nitrogen rich soil additive. But I forget where I was in the topic. So science itself, every scientist has a theory, and they go out to try to prove their theory. What is another word for theory? Belief. So they start finding proof of their theories. They first start finding their belief. You know, they talk about the Big Bang theory, and then the James Webb Telescope says that it might not be what we think it is, right? And I was like, well, what if it was just that the reason the universe is expanding is because we keep thinking bigger thoughts and further out? What if that's the reason? But it really comes down to if this is just an illusion of belief, then all of those things. Hang on. So, were you saying magnets instead of pyramids, or? Okay, I totally. Technically, it's impossible to know if anything is real at all. You are absolutely correct. Egocentric predicament. I think the word egocentric is an interesting word too, considering ego itself. Oh, thank you, Claire. Thank you so much. That does keep a roof over my head, and I totally appreciate it. The word ego is a psychiatric word. It comes from the word the I, the awareness of I, the self-awareness, and when someone gets so out of balance in their ego that they aware of themselves with the exclusion of others, they become a narcissist. And when they're aware of others to the exclusion of themselves, they usually are a highly empathic person. And when you come to this space of ego, it's a topic that goes in all different directions, and many people think of it in different ways. So, but I agree with what you said. It is technically impossible to know anything is real at all. And the thing is, if we are the creator of our experiences, Buddha said, "What you think, you become. You create your world." And as a man thinketh, so is he. Those are all out there. If we are the creator of our experience, then our experience itself, the physical experience itself, is part of who we are. And once again, I go back to the text that I interpreted today, the fourth part of the Gospel of Thomas. He talks about exactly that. I am. He's talking about the I am. Hang on, I'll find it for you. For this, see, I am the one who comes from the whole. I was granted the things of my Father, meaning God. I am your disciple. For this reason I say, if one is whole, one will be filled with light. If one is divided, one will be filled with darkness. Now, that statement there is beautiful because it's talking about when one is whole, when one is not afraid and not lacking and not believing that things are terrible, and they're filled with light, they're filled with joy, they're filled with that laughter that Larry was talking about earlier. But when they're divided from love and they're separate and they're feeling that fear and their anxiety and they're focusing on reacting to the world as opposed to creating, what happens is they go into their darkness and they come to the dark space. And it's an amazing text that I went through today. There's another part in the I am I want to find here real quick. Jesus said, if you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you. He's literally talking about it's all the power within, but if you don't take the power within, then you're kind of separate from the source. And this whole next piece talks about being the divider. He says, I'm not a divider. And he basically was saying he was a unifier. Here it is. I am the light that is over all things. I am all. From me all came forth. To me all attained. Split a piece of wood. I am there. Lift up the stone. You will find me there. Now, if you think about this from the non-messianic point of view, and you look at this just from I am the light that is over all things. I am me, my personal ego, my personal self, my personal awareness. I am the light of my world. I've met many people in my world who think the world sucks, and they are the dimness that is over their world. I think the world is beautiful and fun and laughter, and I feel good about the purpose I bring. And so my world is light. My world is lit, right? I am all. From me all came forth. What did I just say earlier in this conversation? When I help that person up on the curb, when I open the door, when I smile at someone, when I give them a coat, when I help them in any way, when I just accept them for who they are, I'm accepting me. I am all. From me all came forth. All my experiences in my life came forth to me, from me, the I am. And to me all attained. All things that came to me came from the I am, from what I believe about myself. Split a piece of wood, I am there. That wood that I'm looking out there is part of my belief and your belief, and part of the collective consciousness of us all. And in the collective consciousness of us all, everything exists as one. And lift up a stone and you will find me there, same thing. So it literally is saying that the I am, the light, you are, your choice, your belief. I told you the story about sitting at a table with a guy who said he hated the place when I said I love the place. We both had exactly our belief, because our individual worlds, our individual experiences were colored by our belief and our thoughts. I am hating this place. I am loving this place. And so my dinner was beautiful and I got a date, and his dinner was terrible and he was pissed off. And that's literally the expression of God right there in front of you. Because all the observer can know will, at the present in his own mind, the egocentric predicament refers to. So the egocentric predicament refers to the epistemological problem of being unable to observe things. So you have to tell me which scientific school of thought and what book that's coming from. Holding doors for 40 years, a simple act makes me feel good about myself. Good for you, Brent. Good for you. Hey, Dano. Hey, we got book 'em, Dano. I hope you're doing well. I know I certainly am. Book 'em, Dano. I'm sure you've never heard that before in your life, have you? Yeah. Thank you, Matthew, for that. Thank you. To me, it comes down all the time. I'm sure. And I always hear Big Bad John from the old people. But to me, the conclusions that I reach is that it proves the teachings of Jesus. Now, so then my question to you, Matthew, would have to be, which version of the teachings of Jesus? So I guess I'm really asking, what is your spiritual belief? Where do you come from? And I respect wherever you're coming from. I'm just curious at this point. Just curious about it. Alex, I would say to you that I don't prophesy. I don't think that there is a second coming, because I think that's all part of the messianic prophecies, and I think that that's something that is I think that's something that is actually more mythological than real. I think Jeshua is gone to the oneness, and Jeshua's here now. You want proof? Go to my video on my channel that's called "I Took a Picture of Jesus." You'll see his face show up in the picture. So the oneness of God is here. Buddha's here. Krishna's here. My mom is here. I see her and talk to her. My cousin Carlos, who committed suicide, he's around. I talked to him. Yeah, had me send a message to his mother. So it comes down to if you believe in the messianic prophecies, then you have to wonder why Jeshua said, be here today, tomorrow will take care of itself. He wasn't really into prophetic things. He was into I am and being here in the present. So, Siddharth. Charmaine, the interesting thing of the Big Bang, okay, a collective creation, though only the I am truly creates, but we are in a collective consciousness. And the example I always use is that ugly house across the street from me, right? I didn't believe that house into existence. The architect did, the builder did, the person who commissioned the house did, all the people who lived in that house did. It's in the collective consciousness. So I look out the window and I see the oneness of God because I'm in the collective consciousness. And so I know that across from me is literally all of us. That is part of the oneness of God right out my window. And I look at it as a beautiful expression of consciousness with a really ugly roof. It's a brick house with white trim and a bright blue roof. Yeah, not attractive, in my opinion. I think it's the collective belief that influence creates our reality. I agree with you on that. Ancestral healing. I'm not sure I understand what ancestral healing is, Siddharth. Please, if you have any, I don't understand what ancestral healing is. I've never heard of it. Reading The Power of Intention by Dwayne Dyer, seeing so many negative thoughts living in my head that I've been inadvertently manifesting. Yeah, it's as Yoda said, here we go. Name must your fears be, before banish it you can. Right? You have to name those negative thoughts before you can break free of them, because they're subconscious. You've got to retrain the habitual thoughts, and life is suffering because of our habitual response to our past experience, which is basically what the actual translation of life is suffering really is. And when you look at it from that perspective, you start to realize that you have to take the time to figure out what you truly believe about your I am moment, your present moment. And when you figure out that you believe your present moment sucks, or is tough or hard, and have these negative beliefs around them, or more prevalent is the stagnant beliefs, like wanting, needing, hoping, trying, wishing. Those are just beliefs things aren't happening, and I'm just hoping it would come, right? If you're the creator, why would you want to create hoping or wishing or needing or wanting or trying? If you're the creator of your experience, why not just say, I'm receiving, I'm creating, I'm enjoying? Those stagnant beliefs are just as prevalent as negative beliefs. And those stagnant beliefs usually come from the bigger belief that you're not empowered. And really, when it comes down to you choosing to be empowered and you choosing to step into your oneness of God, then you have that ability. Hi, Raina. How are you? I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming in. Got 42 people on tonight. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a good time experiencing the live stream tonight. I know I am. Yay, good job. O2 sensor. Well done, David. I'll let you come do my car next. No, actually, my car's working great right now. Oh, my gosh. Where are we? We got 10 more minutes, guys. Any comments or questions you want to bring in before we wind this thing down here in a little bit? And I get my weekend off, which I'm really looking forward to. By the way, I moved my iPad up here much closer to the camera, so that when I'm looking there, at least it's closer to the camera, as opposed to before it was down here and over to the side. Now I got it up here higher, so at least it's closer. And I may actually move it even closer still, which means I'll have to move this whole rig over. But making it, but the problem is if I put it there closer, it'll probably show up in my glasses. So I'm not sure I want to do that. Smash the like button. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you. Who is my favorite fellow disciple? Huh. Marcy, you are just a question person tonight. Look at you. Check you out. Who was my favorite fellow disciple? I know I spent a lot of time with Philip. And I know I spent a lot of time with my brother James. I know my feelings of Peter was he was a very gruff, stern fellow, so I wouldn't say he would have been my favorite, although my last memory of Jeshua, I was with Peter. My friend in this lifetime, Michael, he remembers being Philip, and he always jokingly says that, if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be in the Bible, because Philip is only mentioned in the book of John, really. That's the best way I could answer that, I guess. And thank you for keeping the questions coming there, Marcy. Jump over, see what it says. Faithful girl, that's a great question. Question is, when you manifest something, do you write it down? Do you write down everything you want? Not always. Sometimes I just manifest the feeling of what I want. And some people have a hard time doing that sort of visualization. I met a woman yesterday who literally has a condition where she cannot actually visualize anything. And because of that, they talk about the past experiences. She can't picture it in her head. And it really has affected her life in a big way. She's from Africa. But she was a wonderful person. But working with her was about getting her into her feelings and saying, I am creating a joyful life of purpose and coming into the feelings of it rather than the visualization of it. I have manifested both ways. I've manifested from the very specific, like the house I'm sitting in, where I listed how many rooms and the creek and the woods and all the stuff, and had it within a couple months. And then there have been other times when I was like, world travel, and I just whatever, threw it to the wind, and there it was. So I don't think it matters how you do it. I think it only matters that you believe you're doing it, because the belief is what's creating the experience. I have a decent memory, and I remember being basically wiser as a kid than now. I don't understand people as much, but I also felt like it was silly to dislike someone rather than their actions. Precisely. And, it's like my son. He was so wise as a child, and then the hormones kicked in. And also, life experience comes in. And, that's why the Bible says you must become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's letting go all of these experiences of life and not getting into the life is terrible, life is horrible, and I'm doing this. It's literally saying, releasing all the past, releasing all the experiences, releasing all the debts and debtors, as the Bible would say, and moving forward. So yeah, it comes down to coming back to that space of being a child again and letting go all of the lifelong beliefs. It's been a pleasure seeing you tonight too, Jesse. Do you go to church on Saturday or Sunday? What day do you believe is the actual Sabbath for Christians? I'm not a Christian. I don't go to any churches. I think the world is my church. I think the physical world is the oneness of God. And I think going into a church or going into any religion or choosing a Sabbath is creating a limitation on God that does not exist. I think it's a man-made construct that keeps us from actually experiencing the oneness of God. Was Mary Magdalene red-haired? No, she was actually very dark, curly-haired, like ringlet curly hair. And I don't know, I don't have memory of her hair ever being sun bleached like Jeshua's was, but because a lot of times, like out in the sun, they were covered. Their hair was mostly covered. But yeah, red hair was not a very prevalent thing. Jeshua had red tints to it, but it was more about the sun bleaching of his hair than his hair itself. And his hair, somebody recently took my painting and sent it back to me and said, "Look, I've improved your painting." And they tried to make it look more real. And they changed a whole bunch of things. They made his hair straight and red. They changed his eye color to a gray rather than a blue. They thinned out his face. They made his lips like almost Botoxed. And I said, I appreciate your efforts, and I just passed it on. But yeah, the fact that his hair was not straight, it was wiry. It was it was not a European color or texture. Moving on. There are other Johns I have been reading mentioned in the Bible for. Do you think you could also be other last incarnations of other Johns before John of old, like Saul's son of John in the Bible? I have no thought of that. I have no memory of that. I believe, and personally, David, I believe I'm John Davis. And the memories I have, I don't truly claim to know I understand what reincarnation is. I've met other people who also believe they're John the Beloved. And so I tend, if you'll notice, my YouTube channel is called John of New, not John of Old. And I don't necessarily know about that, but I told you guys about this book a long time ago. This is that book that I was telling you about the guy who remembered being the Apostle John, and his name was John. And that was an interesting book to read. Old book. What is your new house looking like? You know what, Joe? It's interesting. What is my new house looking like? Right now, I'm not even trying to manifest what it looks like yet. I'm in the process now of knowing that it's happening, and the best that it'll be is coming. I'm not doing the deep visualization of the house itself. I'm knowing I'm moving, and I'm doing all the things to prepare to move, and the perfect house will appear and present itself. Let me jump down. It was about healing the family tree or ancestral issues like health or disharmony. One of the healing modalities, and we try to take blessings for our ancestral field in our healing. Yeah, I know nothing about that. I personally believe everything's present moment, and the second you let go of the past experiences, the healthier you'll be. Because if you're carrying them forward, then that is the belief in something being wrong back there. And that belief is creating in your I am moment, in your present moment. Yeah, you are correct, Raina. That's exactly what she said it was. Aphantasia. Think about the water experience where you live. Love written on. Yeah, because when they write the word love, they're feeling and thinking and believing in love. And so the vibration of love itself will change the experience around you. When I say shine so bright that the world chooses to change around you, that's what I'm talking about. Your vibration changes things. You're just being in a place. You've heard somebody who walks in the room and they have such great charisma. They've literally made the room feel brighter and lighter because they have come in with that vibration. Good evening, Lord Krieg. How are you? By the way, Lord Krieg, the other day when you were in our membership group and you were sitting there smoking the pipe, when I looked at the When I looked at my teleprompter, it's darker, so all I could see was a lit silhouette and the smoke billowing around you. And I thought, this is perfect for some sort of film. He could be like the guy questioning the prisoner. So it made me kind of laugh and smile. And perhaps find it interesting. Wherever two or more of you are gathered in his name is I am. And the more of you who are believing in his name, I am, then there is love. Morning, folks. Just woke up, 3 a.m. Oh, Desmond. Oh, Desmond, you're arriving just as we're winding down. I'm sorry, but welcome anyway. Um, mentioned having an out-of-body experience from sitting in love. Can you go into more details on how you did that? Actually, if you search on Jonathan New channel, there is a playlist called NDEOBE, and talks about out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences in the same playlist. So you can find how I had the out-of-body experiences right there. I have thought about doing... hello, Georgia. Georgia, we are winding down. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:01, and I have been talking since 9 a.m. So I'm going to go. And hello, Kelly. Sorry you guys are signing it right at the end here. But the replay will be available on the channel. And I'd like to thank the whoever sent in the donations and the super chats. I'm grateful for that, and for you, and for all of you for being here. These live sessions on Friday night to me are just beautiful. I enjoy being here with all of you, and I love you all for coming and hanging out. You make my Fridays very joyful, and I appreciate you all. And I guess I will see you all next Friday night. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.